everybody. Welcome back to my YouTube channel today. I am so excited today because I have my younger soul brother, Mr. Alexander Quinn, who's the most amazing lightworker starseed from the UK with me today. And I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful he is here today. So and Alexander has a great sense of humor. I just love his humor. British humor is always amazing. But anyways, welcome to my YouTube channel, Alexander. I am so happy you are here. And I'm so excited to talk with you today about the ascension and all the craziness going on. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm all right. The ascension symptoms are just mental at the moment. The upgrades are crazy. And you know, there's a group that I'm on called the Ascension Symptom Help Group. I think there's like, how many? I think you're on it too. How many people is in there? 15,000 or something?
Oh, many thousands of people are actually on there.
Yeah, and the symptoms, like they're like the heavy ascension symptoms that have been kicking off were around the solar flash on December 21st of last year, 2020, and they've just like been getting crazy. And I know like people who, like myself included, I used to enjoy the occasional beer just on a Friday night, not a heavy drink or anything. And now, like, the upgrade has just happened. Boom, alcohol's out. Like red meat, like that went out ages ago. It's like amazing. Yep. Like the body's just purifying. And like, there's a lot of people who think, oh my God, am I having a heart attack? Am I having heart palpitations or dizziness and all this stuff? And if you think you are having these crazy ascension symptoms, go to this group. What's it called again?
It's ascension symptoms and
symptoms group.
It's ascension symptoms group or something like that. Just put in ascension symptoms on Facebook and search for it on Facebook. If you put in ascension symptoms, I think there's just one group like that, but it's got thousands of people and everybody's bitching and complaining about headaches and dizziness and shaking and not wanting to eat or wanting to eat too much or craving certain foods or not being able to eat things that they used to be able to eat and not being able to sleep or sleeping all day. I mean, I'm hearing people who are sleeping all day. And there's his Arcturian ambassador in the background.
Yeah,
we love the Arcturians. The Arcturians are the physicians of the universe. They're all the doctors and healers.
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure. They're the healers. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, people
we need them to heal our ascension symptoms. We need them to heal our ascension symptoms.
I wish this Arcturian could take it away, but basically, because we're getting all the DNA upgrades and everything else, people are just like finding it much harder to get out of bed because going crystalline is slightly painful.
It's a bitch, let me tell you. I'm aching, like my hands and wrists have been hurting really bad lately. And I'm just having aches and pains all over my body and even my rib cage. Like there was a few days period where I felt like my ribs were exploding, and it's because they're expanding. Yeah. Because I heard that our ribs are changing, our heart is changing, everything in our body is changing. Our DNA is changing from 2-strand to 12-strand. And it started way back a while ago, like a year or two, whatever ago, but it's been getting, it's still going. Like it hasn't stopped. It's just going and going and going. And I feel like there's no end in sight, but I know there is. You know, we're going to get to a certain point where we're fully online and we're fully 5D, but it's like, when is that point?
Oh yeah.
I don't know. What do you think?
Oh yeah, no, I totally agree. I mean, it's, as I was saying in one of my other videos, it's going to be going like this. It's going to, where's my hand? It's like this. It's like this. And then you get a little jump and it plateaus about. Yeah. And then you get a little jump and then it plateaus out again. And you get a little jump. And so we keep on getting an adjustment and then you get a chill time. And you get an adjustment and then you get a chill time. And that's what's been happening. But I have to say, you know, a lot of people, the 3D people, I always label them 3D people and it's really wrong. I really shouldn't do that. But it's the people who basically.
Well, they are.
Yeah.
They're people who are in third density.
A lot of people who are still in third density was like the solar flash never happened. That's because they were trying to externalize something that is internal. And it's something you feel inside. It's not something you see outside. But I felt it like a train running over me, seriously. And we're going to keep getting these little upgrades, and every single time there's a food you're not going to be able to eat, something you won't be able to process. You might not be able to have an alcoholic drink like in the same way before. You might not be able to do this, do that, and it's just going to keep mounting and mounting and mounting. I mean, I foresee the meat industry in 5 years. I mean, the red meat industry, I don't know where that's going to be. But I mean, you see all these vegan, when you go to the freezer in your local aisle, in your whatever, wherever you go, we have this thing called Tesco's and Sainsbury's here in London, but all this vegan stuff didn't exist 10 years ago now, and it's going to eventually overtake the red meat section, I think.
Yeah, I can't eat any red meat unless I did find one type I can eat, believe it or not. I can eat ethically raised grass-fed beef. So, and I'm talking about cows that aren't being abused, aren't being killed in front of their brothers and sisters so that they freak out and all the adrenaline goes into the meat. They're ethically treated, ethically raised, and they're grass-fed, non-GMO, fully organic. That kind of beef I can handle. Any other kind of beef, makes me really, really, really sick, very sick.
Yeah.
So I think the future of the meat industry it'll go back to the way it was in the olden days, the way farmers farm, because you have to understand that humans have been eating meat since we were created, just like cheetahs eat meat and jaguars eat meat and lions eat meat, and we have bobcats and cougars running around my neighborhood and they eat meat. It's not that we're not supposed to eat meat.
Yeah, well, it's probably because the reptilians also put a bit of their DNA in us, and we have the reptilian brain. And I was talking to one of my Arcturian mentors the other night, and because I have been getting attacked a lot recently. So, you've got to be careful. The more your vibration goes up, the more you're going to ping onto the radar.
Oh, I'm getting it too. From all directions.
Yeah, and she was telling me something amazing that I've started doing, and it started working. She said to me, she did a theta healing session on me, and she brought a creator in and one of her Arcturians. She brought it in and did a healing session, and she's in Australia. And I was here in London. She said, right, I'm going to come into your body now. And I literally felt this thing coming like on top of me. It was absolutely incredible. And she said, you need to be careful at night because you have not got the reptilian part of your brain guarded. So what's happening is, draconians and draconian, fourth density astral beings can come in and align with your draconian, your reptilian brain, which we all have because they're a bit of, and then, so that's how they get in. So what you have to do is before you go to bed every night, what you have to say is, Creator, please protect me in my sleep in the astral realm tonight, but also decloak and make visible any beings that are not for my highest good. Because like my mother died last year, and she keeps reappearing in my dreams. Sometimes it's my good mother, and sometimes it's my bad mother. But I know when it's not my real mom. It's weird, and I'm like, she's an imposter. And this Arcturian woman who's like an Arcturian channel and a theta healer, she was saying, what they do is they come in, access your memories in the astral, because they access
and they trick you.
And they trick you, yeah. So if you ask Creator every night, keep me safe, and basically decloak and make anything visible that is not for my highest good, they'll start appearing as reptiles in your dream, as reptilians, as opposed to other beings and stuff.
Wow.
So I've started doing it. When I first came on the radar, my vibration went up. I was seeing reptilians in my dreams all the time. And then all of a sudden,
I see them in meditation sometimes. I was seeing them. I've been seeing them for many years in meditation. Yeah. Like when I started meditating 23 years ago, I immediately started to see them, and I was freaking out because that was 23 years ago. I had no clue what a reptilian was. Like I didn't know what that was. I didn't know about any of this Draco Cabal. I didn't know about any of that 23 years ago. And I was like flipping out. It's like, oh my God, I'm seeing reptile people. It's just. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, so that's how we've got to protect ourselves, because the reptilian part of us is not bred out yet. And as you know, like we went from caveman or whatever, and then there was the gestation period where this big gap happened, and then suddenly it got to man. So we were edited. Now you also have to understand that we weren't just edited by them. We were also edited by the Anunnaki, by the Greys, by the Nordics, the people who look like Vikings, with the blonde hair and the red hair and white skin and blue eyes.
Like, yeah. And they were edited by the Pleiadians and the Nordics. You know, that's who edited them. And then people in Asia who have the flatter faces and the smaller, like, slanty eyes, they were edited by the Greys.
Oh, really?
So yeah, they have a lot of gray DNA, and if you look at them, they look really similar to some of the, you know, the really tiny ETs. That's why a lot of the people in Asia, a lot of them are really small. Like the women are like little, they're really tiny. Like their waists are like half the size of mine. They're really tiny people. They're probably some of the smallest people because of the fact that their DNA, a lot of it is gray DNA. So every single human on Earth has been edited by some ET species, you know, but we're still all brothers and sisters of God. You know, we're still all brothers and sisters. We're still one human race. And I get sick and tired of all the haters. The haters just really bug me. You know, I love everybody. Everybody's beautiful.
I wish I felt the same. No, I'm only joking. But basically, I was trying to find out who the recessed negative blood types were. And if you go to Bashar, channeled by Daryl Anker, who Bashar is Sasani or Sasani, which is a Zeta human hybrid ET race.
Right.
He was basically saying that a lot of the RH recessed negative blood people a lot of that's Anunnaki.
Yeah, I think so. I really feel that. I've asked, and I think it is as well. And it's interesting because my mother-in-law, who passed away, you said your mom died a year ago. My mother-in-law died a year ago, and she had that kind of blood type, and she was an interesting person to say the least. But I kind of feel that's probably true. That's probably true, that they're Anunnaki and stuff. So yeah. And then there's also the people of the O. They claim that O is very very, very rare to have the O blood type. It's that universal blood type. And my father had that. My father was an O. And so I'm not an O, but my father was an O. And he was really interesting because he was probably the kindest. I'd swear my father was an ascended master or something like that at one point, because he was a really gentle, quiet, calm. He was just always calm and very gentle and very loving all the time, you know, to myself and everybody. And he would go and help homeless people all the time. If he saw a homeless person on the street or anywhere, he'd immediately go and ask him how he could help him, and he'd give him money. And, you know, that was who he was. And he was O. So I'm wondering if O is some kind of special race of star beings or what that's all about, because it's very rare.
Possible. Someone did send me a blood list with all the blood types and which ETs their stuff to connect to. You can go and find that. But going back to the ascension thing, I think there's also a reason, you know, like if people can't drink or can't do this or whatever, I think there's a reason that I think the universe is asking us to stay as focused as possible right now, because there's such a transition coming. So I think that, and also like people are tired because they're like going through these massive DNA upgrades, that, you know, and also don't forget the etheric body is changing as well. That's upgrading.
Oh, yeah.
So we're getting the whole thing. So it's a real tiring process. And but if it went,
it's exhausting.
It's exhausting. And the people who obviously sadly who couldn't make it, whose bodies were in a very bad way, they've just passed on or caught COVID, you know what, because their body was vibrating, was a vibrational match for, you know what, 19, and so they caught it. So so it's really important. I mean, I've heard some of my mentors say, like, basically, if you're not going to look after your body, like you're just not going to be able to stay here in these kind of energies. Like, so better just look up, because your like brain, your soul is the software, but your body's the hardware, and the hardware is taking we're going from like Windows 12 to Windows 2021 overnight. You know, it's a big reboot.
Right. Well, and the body is the temple of the Holy Spirit, which is, it's the vessel that holds your soul and your, you know, your spirit, all, you know, your astral body and all that I talk about in my book. I talk about what you are, like what makes you up, you know, your astral body, your emotional body, your spirit body, your chakra system, all that kind of thing. But the thing is that people are so abusive to their bodies. They smoke, they drink too much, they do drugs, they eat terrible diet, you know, and I'm not saying everybody, but there's a lot of people who are abusive to their body. They eat fast food all the time, which is weaponized, all the fast food. In fact, the entire fast food industry was created by the cabal to weaponize food to make people be diabetic and overweight and sick. And I don't know about the UK, but in the US, we have the most fattest, obese, diabetic, heart disease population of anywhere in the world.
Oh yeah.
And they had a famous book about blue zones, because I was a health, well, I am a health expert. I've been studying healing for 35 years of my life. And I had a healing and health coaching business for 7 years. And I worked in the medical industry, both the natural medical industry and the allopathic, for many years. And what I found out is that, you know, there's these parts of the world, if you look at, like Greece is one of them, Japan, there's an island in an area in Japan where the people live to be really old, like really, really old. There's a place in Mexico, in the mountains in Mexico, where the people live to be really old and they're really healthy. And in the rainforests in South America, they live and they still have all their teeth when they die, and their teeth are perfect because these people are eating a mostly plant-based, holistic diet. They're eating very holistic diets. They're eating, or Mediterranean kind of a diet. And they're eating like a lot of like olive oil and a lot of healthy kind of fats, really healthy fats, coconut oil, olive oil, that type of thing.
Is sunflower oil good? Is sunflower oil good for cooking?
It's okay. It's not as good as olive oil and coconut oil. Avocado oil is really good. That's probably one of the best. So avocado, olive, and coconut are the three that I use in my house. I don't use sunflower oil. I use pretty much all avocado, olive oil, and coconut. Extra virgin coconut oil is what I use. And once in a blue moon, if I'm doing baking, I will use organic canola if I have to, but I prefer not to, because I'm hearing terrible things that all the canola is all GMO and all that kind of thing.
I mean,
so
in the UK, they call it rapeseed oil, but it's super GMO.
Exactly.
That's like got I think that's like cancer causing, like in the long term.
It is. Yeah, it's not good for you. So the thing is that people need to understand that your body is the temple of the Holy Spirit. And if you're sitting there stuffing hot dogs in your face all day long, and Twinkies and cupcakes and Cadbury chocolates and whatever else, you know, you're eating bangers and mash 24/7, you know, whatever it is, you know, in the UK. I love bangers and mash, but when I'm in England, the thing is when you're stuffing your face with all of these things, you are consciously making a choice. We have free will. You can either choose to put good things into your mouth, or you can choose to put bad things into your mouth. But in the end, you have a choice. And if you cheat every now and then, and you eat a candy or this or that, you know, it's not gonna kill you. But as we raise our vibration higher and higher, you may find out that you can't just do any of that anymore. Like nothing, like you said with the alcohol, you may have to like quit cold turkey. So no more cigarettes, no more, candies every day, no more eating donuts, which are really bad. They're fried in lard and all this kind of stuff. They're horrible for you. You know, you can't eat Krispy Kreme. I don't know if they have Krispy Kreme in the UK, but in America, they have Krispy Kreme donuts, which are really, really delicious, but they're the worst thing. And the last several times I had Krispy Kreme donuts, I felt like I was going to throw up each time I ate one. I can't, my body is not allowing me to eat this kind of stuff anymore.
Well, the other
I'm getting
thing,
higher and higher.
I was reading a channel message by the Syrians, and they were saying that the Greys it did something to mess with they did GMO or something in our wheat or something, and that's why it gives a lot of people IBS. And gluten is just really bad.
Celiac disease. Nobody had ever had that before. And you know, the ancient grains like the quinoa and the millet and the amaranth and all, and the spelt and all that, those are good for you because they're farmed properly. They mostly come from Europe. They're non-GMO. They don't allow Monsanto there. So the crops are all very, pristine. They don't really raise a lot of those crops here in the US. And when they do, everything in the US seems to be just GMO. In the European Union, they banned Monsanto a long time ago. So if you go to Italy and you eat bread, and here's an example for me and a lot of my friends, is I have a wheat gluten sensitivity here in the United States. But when I go to France and Italy, I can eat baguette or I can eat Italian bread and pasta all day long and it won't upset me or make me sick. But then when I eat that here in the US, it makes me sick because the wheat here in the US has all been cabal controlled and manipulated. It's all full of glycospates, GMO, pesticides, chemicals, you know, they just spray it all day long. And what I do is I try to get bread that's been imported. You can get it at a place called Trader Joe's here in the United States. And they have like brioche bread from France, and they have Italian stuff from Italy. They've got, whenever I eat that, or at my grocery store, I can actually get pasta that's imported from Italy. That's the only pasta I will eat. And I can notice a difference, because if you were to feed me American pasta that's made in the US, my stomach will feel really, really sick, and it just won't digest or anything. You give me the Italian pasta and no problem, I digest it just fine. Absolutely.
Well, I mean, as our DNA, we get more DNA upgrades, we're gonna be able to taste and smell more of the bad stuff that's in our food, and also be able, as we get more and more upgrades, you'll be able to smell more chemicals in the air.
Oh, so I totally am. Totally am.
Yeah. So as your vibration goes up, you're basically, I mean, the whole point about having our vibration so low in the old energy was so that we couldn't detect anything. And then we all got cancer and died, so that they can basically feed off our negative energy and all the rest of it and make money.
Yeah, it's a suffering.
Like cattle.
Yeah, it's a suffering. You know, they have what they call loosh. So the reptilians and the demonic entities feed off of the negative suffering of humanity. Anytime you're in pain, you know, they love it when children are in pain and they're torturing children.
You know what loosh is?
Yeah.
Loosh specifically is sexual energy.
Oh, is it really? I thought it was just like the energy of pain and suffering and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so they feed off that, but they also feed off sexual energy. So they come in like a
lovely
parasite. That's why they love people.
Well, that explains why they rape all those children.
Yeah, well, basically, but also porn addicts. Porn addicts have attachments. Some of them are draconian and reptilian, and they're like. I'm not talking like like regular. It's just some guys. Obviously, guys are like from 16 up to like probably 60 watch porn every now and again. I'm talking about people who are addicted to porn. They have attachments. Again,
they have lots of them. Lots of attachments.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and demonics too, because, you know, I talked about that in one of my videos on my channel. I talked about what's going to happen to the demons and the ghosts and the shadow people and all that. When the vibration gets to a certain, you know, limit, they're not going to be able to be here anymore. They're not going to be able to exist in a fully fit density. Yeah, they are being purged. But I mean, just recently, my daughter saw a Wendigo here outside my house. So there's still, some of them are still around. Yeah, they're still around. Wendigo is an ancient Native American spirit that feeds on people. It eats people. Yeah. It's really bad, like really bad. My house is gridded for protection, so it can't get into my house, but it was wandering around on the property outside, you know, the house. So
we've got to be really careful, because as we're going up in vibration, every time we leave the house, we're like a big beacon that says to the astral things. We come home with attachments on us. So more now than ever, we have to keep our...
Well, I asked for protection. I have a 3-step protection thing that I give all my clients, where they protect themselves first thing in the morning. And then I tell people, when you get in your car or you're going to go into a public place where there's a lot of people, you need to redo that again. You need to ask Archangel Michael for that protection, so that you don't get attachments, because I've been protecting myself for years and I haven't had, last time I had attachments was actually many, many years ago. And the reason why is because I've been able to daily protect myself, like every day. So you have to learn protection techniques. It's so important.
Yeah, absolutely. So one way you can find out that you have a lot of attachments is when you're like an SHIT magnet. Like you just attract bad things all the time, and you can't.
Well, negative people will do that. Also, if you have ancestral karma or curses or past lifetime things, you know, past lifetime karma, debts, curses, all that, which it's why I'm going to start doing past life regressions for people in the next couple of weeks. I'm going to be past life regressing to help people to clear away all that crap. So if they have trauma from a past life, because if you're walking around full of trauma from a past life, you're going to attract negative things, because you've got to be fully positive and fully clear. You have to be a clear vessel so that you don't attract that.
Yeah, for sure. When I did my theta healing with this Arcturian, with one of my Arcturian mentors, she said she ran back all my past lives, and she said, you've been hung twice, so you have you had a lot of problems there around you. That's why your throat chakra was tight. It was you were hung twice. You were also you were in slavery quite a few times, so you were.
I think we all were. We all were in slavery quite a few times.
You had this thing where you were never able to be yourself or have your own identity. So she helped remove that.
Wow.
She said there was some bad nanotechnology in there, like black stuff, not like some people talk about the black goo or whatever. And she said she had to clean out loads of that out of my blood.
Oh, well, that's from the chemtrails. So they've been spraying us for years and years now, and it's got barium, mercury, arsenic, lead, all these horrible, aluminum, lots of aluminum, because they want to give us all Alzheimer's and dementia, so our brains don't work properly. In fact, Alzheimer's and dementia didn't really exist up until they started spraying all this stuff. And then now all of a sudden massive, I mean, people would get senile as they get old. Like you can get hardening of the arteries in your brain from old age. That's a totally different thing altogether. But also the Alzheimer's is from the aluminum and all those chemicals.
Yeah, and you got to be careful with all these pharma drugs, because they've got like heavy metals in them and stuff, like these
they're loaded with everything. They're loaded with horrible stuff.
Oh yeah, I mean that's why it's very rare I have to take drugs, but if I do, I'll try to go for homeopathy or tinctures.
Yeah, me too. Well, so I was coaching naturopathic physicians and chiropractors for many years. I had a business for 12 years where I was actually coaching them. And then when I had my healing business, I went and spoke at medical conferences all over the country. But I'm all about naturopathic medicine, Ayurvedic medicine, Chinese medicine, backcountry, old-fashioned kind of medicine like they used in Europe back before allopathy, happened. You use herbs like echinacea and golden seal and all that kind of stuff. But I'm all about botanicals and oils, essential oils, and all of this kind of stuff. But it's got to be organic. That's really important, because you don't want to take an herbal tincture that's full of pesticides, because that's just going to make you more sick. That's not going to help you. So I only use the best, like what I call the Mercedes Benz of the tinctures when I'm buying tinctures. I use really good ones, but everything I do is natural. And food is a great healer. I mean, honey is very healing.
Oh yeah, I know. I have no artificial sugar, almost. I try to cut all artificial. It's very, very difficult, but I don't have sugary drinks. I only use honey if I'm going to put
neither.
But also, like, the best way to combat all these ascension symptoms, if you're really struggling, is just to go vegetables and pure water straight off the bat, and soup if you're really struggling. That'll reset you really, really quick. Also,
bone broth is really good.
Oh, really?
Bone broth is really good from organic chickens. If you can get organic chicken bone broth, that's really, really good for your body. It's very healing for your body. It heals a lot of digestive disorders and all sorts of problems. So yeah.
So I mean, aside from like using our protective stones to ground, like black obsidian for protection, the black stones are good for protection. I use
tourmaline, the black tourmaline. That's what I use. The black obsidian too. I have both.
I use hematite, but my stones are a royal. I can't. Oh my god! I've actually a royal topaz and lapis. Those are my stones. But when I wear lapis in bed at night, I have really psychic dreams. What is that?
This is called blue kyanite. So for all of you who are listening, before you leave your house, you should have this in your car. You should keep a bunch of it in your car. It's called blue kyanite. And you keep it in your car. You keep it in your left pocket, which is your receiving side. Your receiving side of your body is your left hand, your left side of your body. What this kyanite does is it protects you against EMFs, cell phone radiation, negative energy, just negative frequencies in general. The black tourmaline will protect you against demonic attacks, psychic attack, negative energy, vampire people, that type of thing.
Or if you do what I do, you just keep your energy, you just keep your crystal box with all of them in the bed right next to you all the time.
This is right next to my bed. These are all Andara, not Andara, but they're Amethyst crystals.
Yeah.
And some of these are Oralite Amethyst, which has the highest frequency of all the, it's like one of the highest frequency crystals you can get. It's close to like an Andara crystal, if you know anything about that. But there's some of these crystals that are super high vibe. This is amethyst, or an Oralite Amethyst. And I was told about this from a really well-known first waver, what we call a first waver in Dolores Cannon's, you know, speech, who's in his 70s, named Charles Lightwalker. He's an amazing healer and shaman. He's a trained shaman and healer and medical intuitive and all that kind of stuff. And him and his wife have been using these Oralite amethysts for a really long time because they create a lot of physical heal. I mean, you can heal and clear all kinds of stuff from them because the vibration is really high, like really high. Well, so I keep those by my bed. And let me tell you, I haven't had any issue with being attacked while I'm sleeping, because like I would have like entities try to get at me while I was asleep at night. And since I started I put a big, huge black tourmaline under my bed, and I put these crystals around me. Since I've done that, I haven't had any problem at all. Like no problem. I don't think they like the frequency of this stuff at all.
Oh no, they hate it. They hate it. And the one I find is best for EMFs is orgonite. I have an orgonite pyramid.
Oh yeah, I have that too.
The Tesla coil, actually.
Yeah, I have those.
That's the best thing I use for.
I wear one too around my neck. I have one that's got the Sri Yantra on it, and I wear that from time to time. And then I have one that has all the chakra stones. It's an orgonite. I've got a lot of different orgonites actually. Those are really good. And you can put your glass of water, if you have an orgonite plate or something that's flat that's orgonite, you can put a glass of water on it, and it will create a healing water. It'll make your water healthy, really healthy for you, and energize your body.
Shungai does that too. Is that the one you were talking about?
No, just an orgonite. You can get these orgonite kind of plates that are a mixture of different things.
From Russia does that. It's a water purifier.
Does it?
Yeah, very, very.
Oh, I didn't know that. I carry shungite with me when I leave my house, because that protects you from the 5D cell phone towers and all the 4D, all the cell towers and stuff. Because we have them really close to the grocery store. Like you walk into the grocery store here, and there's 5G towers all over around the grocery store. And the minute I walk in the grocery store, I start to feel dizzy. But if I have my shungite with me, it seems to mitigate that.
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, the Cabal idea was spray us with heavy metals, with all the chemtrails, put heavy metals in all our foods and everything, and then boom, we got heavy metal particles running through our body, and then boom. Oh yeah, let's activate it with a massive
5G. 5G. Mm-hmm.
So you're activating all these heavy metals in your body, and then you're just getting radiation poisoning. So yeah.
Well,
I mean, that's why
their goal is what 95% of the population is what they said. I read this NASA paper from NASA, and they basically, apparently NASA is run by the reptilians, and they and they hate us. They hate humans. They like literally hate us. They made this whole document that I read, and I can't remember where I read, but it made me sick when I was reading it. But basically their goal was to kill off all the population of humans off the planet, like just kill us and take over the planet. And do you know, I almost blanked out on you. I was going to call you Anthony, and it's Alexander, but I wanted to call you Anthony. Maybe you were Anthony in a past life. I don't know. But Alexander, the thing about this is that, so there's this thing called the Georgia Guidestones, where they say they want to shrink the world population down to a certain percent. Do you know that these reptiles have been on Planet and the Draco too, which is their bosses, basically, that's their boss. And the Draco's not just reptiles, there's grays in there and other types of ETs that make up the Draco. They've been from planet to planet to planet for millions of years, destroying the planet. So they go to a planet, they take it, they enslave the people, they eat the people, they traumatize the people, they kill all the people, they destroy the planet, and then they go to the next one and they do the same. It's like a vicious cycle.
Mike, I can tell you where they came from if you like.
Where did they come from? I'd love to know that.
So before I tell you where they came from, the first mention of them was with the Lyrans, because the Lyrans had a very beautiful spiritual agricultural, when it's not male and it's not female, it's in the middle. What's it called? Androgynous, yeah. because like Lemuria was more feminine, but they had a very androgynous, balanced, kind of like a Gaia kind of type setup, but much more spiritually advanced. And basically the Reptilians turned up, and for some reason they started warring. Now that's the first time that we really hear it in galactic history about the Reptilians, but the Reptilians supposedly were said to have not come from this universe, because obviously we talk about multi-dimensionality, but then we talk about, you know, when you hear about the Pleiadians talking, they talk about the multiverse, because there's different universes. And apparently a carrion race of like bird warriors supposedly created a portal into this universe and brought them with them, the Draconians, and said, right, now this is your domain, you can do whatever you want. And they were told that this is your domain, you have free will of whatever you want to take it over and do whatever you want and have what you want. And then that is how they had that mentality ever since, and that is how they raised their children. Although the irony is that it's not just the universe, it's not just the energy on Gaia that is going up. A lot of people forget this. There is an ascension happening across the universe right now. So it's also in other galaxies. So there's ascension happening all over the place, because there are Arcturians which are also going up as well. But we are the big kids at the bottom, where all eyes are on us at the moment. But there is ascension happening everywhere. People think it's just on Gaia. Yes, we're the most obvious, because we're like the graduates coming of age, you know, we're about to get our first big job. Whereas like with them, it's just another pay rise that they've had a million times before. So all eyes are on us. But yeah, so that's why it's a big deal. And also we're going to get rid of all these, you know, the Draconians and all that stuff. But that's where the Reptilians supposedly, and I'm fairly up on my galactic history, it was a carrion bird race that brought them in here and let them loose. And they did not come from this universe.
Wow. I didn't know that. I thought they were from this universe, but I don't,
Yeah.
you know, that's interesting. That's really interesting.
Yeah. And then of course, because when you get a society that is intergalactic, then you get a spread of genetics. So that's where you get like Zeta hybrids and you get Andromedan reptilians, and you get all kind, you know, you get them all blended together. So you get like reptilian looking beings in the Andromedas. And people think, oh my God, they're reptilians, they're evil. But they're actually Andromedans, but they're reptilian looking, but they're good ones. So
right. Well, there's some bad Andromedans too, because I've read all kinds of interesting things about that there are some bad Andromedans that have been causing trouble.
Yeah, there's good and bad everywhere. So there's misconception that, but
well, there's good reptilians too. Do you know about that breakaway group of the reptilians that are fighting the upper elites? There's like a group of lower level reptilians that have band together to fight the elites up at the top, and they're working with the Galactic Federation.
Do you know what? I'm not surprised. One of my good friends is a reptilian who was abducted by the military quite a lot. And she used to tell me a lot, you know, there'll be some people who won't believe this, but I did an interview with her, and they basically made her go back into her reptilian form. You can go to my channel and look at the page. It's called Military Abduction with a Reptilian Hybrid.
Oh, wow.
She was kidnapped by the military, the UK military, and and tested on for years and years and years. And you know that Eyes Wide Shut party with Tom Cruise?
Yeah.
He was drugged and taken to parties like that and raped by reptilian hybrids.
Horrible. Oh my God.
Yeah. So like you get people like that who have been through all of that kind of stuff. And then you get the people who went through all the satanic ritual abuse, which is draconian as well. And all of this stuff is only just coming to the fore. But
you said the loosh is the sexuality, so that's where all that raping, continuous raping, and pedophilia, and all that comes from.
That's why they obviously they love eating the baby blood and everything, because it's very pure.
Right.
It doesn't have nicotine, caffeine, you know, pharmaceutical drugs, because it makes it taste disgusting for them. But also the loosh is the sexual energy. That's why they love to rape, and so it's a very it's like luscious for them. But if you mix fear in with it as well, and so for people who masturbate a lot, there's a technique that you can use where when your crown chakra blows up, when you're having an orgasm, when you're by yourself, and all of this stuff is going out the top of your head, so you can become a beacon of attachment. So what you need to do is if you enjoy time on your own and you don't have a partner, when you are having an orgasm, you need to pretend that all the energy shooting out of your crown chakra is coming back into you, holding it back into yourself.
Well, you can also be asked to be placed in a protection bubble before you do that. If you're going to masturbate, you could ask for a protection bubble to be placed around you so that they're not able to get access to your energy. You don't want them to access your energy at all. Yeah. So especially going forward, you need to protect your unleashed energy, and just walking out the house, you need to ask for protection or take, stones with you, and especially when you go to bed, so that the draconians can't access that part of your reptilian brain, which has been in there for millennia. So, the words are roughly, I'll have to get the words, but there's something like, please, Creator, God, Creator, please protect me tonight and uncloak and unveil anything that is not for my highest good, so that I can see it for what it really is. Those are the words. And then beautiful. Every night, all of these people who are family and friends that are like weird, who don't seem like family and friends in your dream, will suddenly become reptiles, because they're accessing your memories and your data and coming in as humans, but they're not. So they're astral draconians, and then all of a sudden you'll start seeing draconians, and then they'll get a shock in the astral realm. Then they're like, oh my God, they can see me now, and they'll get a shock. And then they'll stop coming because they don't like being seen. Otherwise, you'd have reptilians in the government. You just see them all the time, and in the music industry and everything. Billy Corgan, the lead singer of the Smashing Pumpkins. Stone Show. He openly says he was in a recording studio one time, and an executive came in, and they said, and they just let their real reptilian self show. And he openly talks about it. You can go and Google. Oh my gosh!
You can go YouTube it.
My son can't stand him. He said he's a total a-hole. He doesn't like him. He said he's like really, I guess he's kind of a jerk. He has a reputation of not being very nice. He's not a very nice person.
Who, the lead singer of
Billy Corgan.
Oh, Billy Corgan.
Yeah. He's got a reputation of being kind of an ass. That's his reputation. So yeah, there's a lot of stories going around about things he said to people. He's just kind of rude, I guess, to people.
He probably is. But I mean, I don't disbelieve him about the reptilian thing. And also, it's getting harder for a lot of reptilians who have a holographic appearance to keep their appearance now, because the light's getting higher and higher. And also, there are certain starseeds who are activators to basically disrupt their appearance, so that they start reappearing. You keep on hearing all these stories about these people who were on a plane, or celebrities, whatever, and they suddenly had a reptilian. So everyone starts screaming.
Hearing all kinds of stories of people where they saw people shapeshift, and it's all celebrities that are doing it, politicians, celebrities, musicians, CEOs, all that kind of, it's a really high level elite, the people with a lot of money, the power, the fame, all of that. They're the ones who keep doing they keep shifting out. And you know why they're doing it? Because as the vibration of the planet gets higher and higher, it's going to be harder for these reptilians to keep their persona, their fake holographic human, it's going to be harder for them to keep that keeping the shape-shifted human form. And they're going to be returning more and more back to it until we can see all of them. Eventually they're going to all be exposed. Yeah, unless they're all killed and removed from my planet before they
because it's very easy to hide in a dense energy with no light. But I just want to say something for my viewers and for your viewers, right? Because there'll be people saying, "Oh, well, it's not true. These people who shapeshift and all this kind of stuff, and blah blah blah." Have you seen it for real? Okay, I have a story.
I have. I've seen them.
Do you want me to go first?
I've seen many of them.
You want to go first, or do you want me to go first?
No, go ahead. Go first. Totally. Yeah, I see it all the time, but go first.
Okay. So this was not a reptilian, but my mentor was a part of a government experimental underground-based program She was a Zeta Anunnaki hybrid. She was bred by the US government in an underground base.
Whoa.
And she was very psychic. She was telekinetic. She could move things with her mind. And she was kept, because there are beings in Area 51, there are beings walking around like ETs in all these underground bases. And she was kept there. But basically, they let her out. But they hadn't taken away part of her DNA that has given her her abilities and stuff. So they tried to kill her. So she was walking along the street one day, and this car just happened to magically be careering at 70 miles per hour just down a street and drive right into her, like just out the blue. And then she had to have brain surgery and stuff, and then she like lost all of her abilities. But one thing didn't change, because I used to do Skype calls with her. And when I used to, how you see like these videos, I don't know whether they're real or not, but like they videos of Miley Cyrus and stuff, and then suddenly the eyes go into slits and stuff.
Yeah, she shapeshifts.
Well, when I was talking to my mentor, her eyes used to shapeshift all the time, but they didn't like just do it quickly, like a blink, like that, like go round to like that. They used to like change all different patterns and go from star to slit, and they would be like changing pattern all the time. And I was like, it's hypnotizing. It's like mesmerizing to see. It is a real thing that really happens. And I said to her, I said, you're not going to believe this, but I think your eyes are shape-shifting. And then she told me the whole story about how she was an governmental experiment and all this stuff, but some people can't see it. Some people can see it depending on what vibrational dimension they're in, stuff like that. And I couldn't talk every time she was doing it, because it was so otherworldly and weird. You don't know how to process that. And there's another woman who's called Barbara Lamb, who's quite big in the ET community. I don't know if you heard of her, but she has tales that you can go online in her books, and she says she's really, really advanced in the ET community and STARSEEDS, and she helps STARSEEDS and stuff. And she said she had someone there was a reptilian who wanted to break away from the faction and come good and come clean and help humanity. And there was this woman somewhere here in the United Kingdom who said, I'm going to actually introduce you to a real reptilian. Come to my house and they'll be there. And Barbara Lamb did not believe anything, but she'd seen so many things in her time. She was an abductee as well. And when she turned up to this person's house, there was a 10-foot tall reptilian being there.
Whoa.
And they had a telepathic communication, and then the thing just dematerialized and vanished.
Oh my gosh. Wow, my stories aren't that brilliant. My big thing is I've noticed I'm really paying attention to a lot of these celebrities and stuff now, and I'm noticing their eyes changing more and more frequently. I'm seeing them, but I'm clairvoyant and clairaudient, and all that kind of stuff. Clairsentient. I see energy, and I can see. I don't know how to explain this without freaking people out, but I can see who people really are. Yeah, I can see who people really are. I can see who they really are. So if they are a reptilian, I can see them I can see who they are. Okay. So what happened to me is several years back, when I started finding out about all this cabal kind of stuff for the first time and all that, I would look at a picture of people like with the initials HRC, whose husband was president, and stuff like that. I would look at pictures of these people, and I could see that they were reptilian. The guy whose name is George something.
George B.
George S. With the one from Europe with the accent, who is like the Davos guy, and with all the money that he's the one who pays off all the
the billionaire,
the rioters. Yeah, the billionaire guy. Yeah.
Oh, him.
He's
I think
total reptilian. Yeah, total reptilian. Yeah. you can, I can see them. I started looking at these people. I started looking at their pictures, and they literally, I can see them. They don't need to shapeshift for me. I can just see who, you know, I can just see them.
I mean,
You know?
reptilians have a very sophisticated technology. They can use a hologram to seem exactly like a human. And that is how they hide. That is how they hide in the shadows. But when you look at George B's daughter, there is you can often see electrical interference. So their holographic matrix starts to shut down. And if you go to YouTube and you type George B USHS's daughter, Reptilian, she's doing an interview on Good Morning America or something, and her hologram starts breaking down.
Oh, I want to see that.
Yeah. So that's
to go watch that. Yeah,
that's another time you can see it. But the reptilians, they hate to be seen. They don't want to be seen, and they will do everything never to be seen. And that's why a lot of people, that's their weapon against humanity, because humanity thinks, well, I've never seen one, therefore they don't exist. Oh, it's a very 3D thing to say.
Yeah, no, they exist. And actually George B's father, who recently died, they had the flag over his coffin all rumpled up because he was a traitor to the United States of America.
Oh, really? Is that why they did that?
The flag on the coffin, and the same with the guy with the last name Mick something, John Mick something. When he died, they had the flag over his, I'm not saying these because I don't want to get flagged. I don't want my video. That's why we're using kind of code language here with everybody listening, so that we don't get my videos taken down and my channel taken down, because YouTube will be all over me like flies on honey, you know, if I use, you know, any of these words. But there were two politicians recently died, buried. They put the flag over their coffin, all rumpled up, which is basically the sign of a traitor against the United States. And because they've been doing bad things, you know, for a long time. You know, they were really deep, super, super deep state, you know, it just really, very bad.
What is, I mean, you know, some crazy, really, just to finish off on this reptilian thing. Both Princess Diana and David Icke have said a slightly similar thing. They were talking about how, you know, some of these royals never die. Like their body dies, but the draconian essence of
they like resurrect them.
Yeah, the draconian essence of them is just then put in another body.
Yeah. Well, that's why they have Nibiru. You know about that, right? Do you understand about what's going on?
Nibiru is more reptilian Anunnaki, though, isn't it?
So no. Nibiru that I'm talking about is this basically a big spaceship planet looking thing that's been brought in to be a prison for these guys. So right now what they're doing is harvesting all their souls, and they're immediately sending them to this Nibiru. Well, actually they're going through processing at Ezekiel's ship. Ezekiel has a ship that he's brought in, and it's like a neon green. I saw it, oh gosh, months and months and months and months ago, like a year ago. I saw this green thing that came in, and it was to the left of the sun, and I called several of my light worker friends, and they all saw the exact same thing, and they had to tell me what it was because I wasn't sure, but it is Ezekiel's ship. So apparently what happens is when they kill these reptilians and the Draco and the Cabal people and the people committing crimes against humanity, you know, just all these evil dark souls, when they kill them, in order to prevent them from coming right back into a human body, because that's what they do, they come right back into a human body, and then they do the same cycle over again where they get into politics, or they become the queen or king or the prince of some country, and then they do all the same, they keep doing the same things over and over, you know, they just keep going, and they remember and they know who they are. Like,
absolutely. They remember,
Yeah, and they just keep coming back. So in order to stop them, immediately their soul is harvested out of them. It's sent to the ship for processing. Then it's sent to Nibiru. Nibiru is a prison planet for these guys. It's a third density prison planet. They're going to basically experience what they've been dishing out to humanity for 12,000 years. They're going to be the enslaved. They're going to be the kids that are raped. They're going to be all of those horrible things they've been doing to humans, eating us, killing us, abusing us, enslaving us, creating all these fake governments and fake religions and fake money system, and owning our birth certificates and all these terrible things that they've done to us. they get to be the recipient of that on Nibiru. And they get, when Yeshua explained all this to me, that's Christ, you know, Jesus Christ. He told me that it was like a soul rehabilitation, but he also explained that some of these beings are so dark and evil that they're going to be just obliterated, and the fragments of their soul will be sent back to God's source for reassimilation. You know, it'll just be recycled back to the God source, creator of everything, basically. So some of them are so dark that they have no intention or interest in ever coming back to God ever. They don't get a rehab. They're bye-bye, they're gone. So some of those beings, I don't know if you know this, I don't know if you and I have talked about this, but Lucifer, Satan, Caligastia, Moloch, Baal or Baal, however you pronounce that, all of those guys, and Baphomet, which are all these evil, like ancient extraterrestrials, they're all gone now. They've been obliterated, and their energy fragments have been all sent back to source for recycling. They're gone. They don't exist. So the only evil on this planet, so and the being who destroyed them told me, if I don't believe it, try to invoke their name and see what happens. Apparently they're gone. So all the people who worship these gods, because there's millions of people all over this planet who still worship those creatures, they have a rude awakening coming, because the people they're worshiping are gone. They don't exist anymore. So now all you have left are evil, rotten, nasty, dark beings that are on the surface of the planet that are getting rounded up, because you got to realize there's millions of these bad people. So they're not going to get rounded up overnight. It's going to take a while to round up all of the bad,
for sure.
bad guys.
Absolutely, yeah. I have a copy of the Necronomicon upstairs, which I bought purely for educational purposes. And that is basically it's like black Anunnaki magic, because it's
all dark magic.
Yeah, it's dark magic, but it's Anunnaki dark magic. And I was reading it just purely for educational purposes. I wasn't going to use it. And then a month later on, a friend of mine who used to be a channeler many years ago, but then stopped because he wanted to get into a more 3D job because the money was good. He then shut that side of his brain down, and suddenly spirit came through him, and he didn't know I had this book. And he was having dinner with me one night, and he said, "Oh my God, I think I'm going to start channeling. I haven't done it in 10 years. And there's someone here, they want to talk to you right now." And then they literally just nudged him out the way. And then they were just talking all of a sudden. And they said, "Oh, hi. Look, we're aware that you've been reading that book, that Black Anunnaki, but we really need you to put it down, because it's really not going to do you any favors."
No, it isn't. It's bad.
And it wasn't his voice talking anymore. It was like this thing this person had come in, and they said, "We're going to ask you. You don't have to throw it away, but just turn the book around and keep it the other way in the bookshelf so the black bit doesn't face, and you don't need to read it anymore." And,
that's probably your team. That's probably your guidance team talking through him.
And then at that point, I've just put it in the bookshelf, and I've never used it ever since. But I gave it to a work colleague of mine about 3 years ago, and he said it scared the living daylights out of him. Weird things started going weird in his house. And he got halfway through that book, and then he had to give it back to me. So the reason
it's just like having a Ouija board. It's like having a Ouija board in your house. Those things open up portals all over the place and allow all of the entities to come in.
I mean, Ouija boards are even more dumb. There's a point where I'm coming on to all of this, by the way. But I mean, Ouija boards are even more dumb, because you just openly saying to any negative astral spirit, just come in.
Come on in, right?
It's basically like leaving your door open in LA for any robber just to come in and rob you blind. So that's why the Ouija boards are a big mistake. But going back into the Necronomicon, right? So there are apparently the English royal family wanted to bring back Baal and all these things and stuff like that.
Yeah, of course they did. Yeah.
And but like you were saying, they're not going to be able to now, or it's going to be almost impossible for them to do that. So books like the Necronomicon and all this stuff, they're not going to have the same power they had before, because the actual energies on planet right now are going to not facilitate it anymore.
It won't facilitate. Yeah, it's too high. It's too high. You need a third density planet in order to facilitate that. It has to be dense to create the evil. The evil exists and thrives. It's kind of flourishes and thrives. Think about your body. Like if you're like illness. Okay, think about like a bacteria. Bacteria will thrive in a body that's unhealthy. Like if you're eating a bunch of crappy food and drinking alcohol and not taking care of your body, then you're going to come down with viruses and bacterial infections because they thrive in that kind of an atmosphere. That's the same thing with the third density of the planet. The third density planet is kind of like a giant cesspool of bacteria and viruses, and they just like thrive in that basically. But then when you get it up into fifth density is, you know, the organic and the high vibe and all that, you know, and so these things have a really hard time making manifest or becoming manifest.
100%. And also, don't forget, it's linked to the crystalline grid as well, because there was a lot of bad stuff that has been processed and put into the crystalline grids of Earth for a very, very long time. So don't forget that feeds back out. The crystalline grid of the Earth is like a push-pull energy. So when you get very high-level starseeds coming in, their Merkaba is interfacing with Gaia, and they're putting light back into the crystalline grids, which is clearing them. Hence, you get the word light worker, because light workers are different from starseeds. They can be the same thing, but they are slightly different. So you get this push-pull energy. So as more light keeps going on into Gaia, it's going to be pushed back out. And that's going to affect things like our news, which eventually start speaking about when things are getting better and good things, as opposed to constantly talking about fear and all that kind of stuff. So
fair porn.
Of Earth are all getting cleared as well, because, you know, people say, well, I don't believe in the crystalline grid, you know, how do we all that? And I said, I'll give you an example of the crystalline grid right now. When you have a spirit that comes to you, right? If it's on the crystalline grid, the crystalline grid is like a tape recorder. It's like a loop. It records things. It's like a crystal, right? It records things. So the crystalline grid, if you get like a spirit that keeps on going down the staircase in the middle of the night with its head cut off, and then it goes away, that's on the crystalline grid. It's recorded on the crystalline grid of the Earth. So if you get a spirit in a seance that you're talking to, and you say, oh, your mother's here, or something along those lines, and then you ask the spirit, well, how are you? And they just say, yes, everything's good. And well, what's going on your end? Yes. There's no consciousness. There's no high vibrational consciousness, because it's not the soul itself. It's just a recording of. It's a recording on the crystalline grid, and that's why you see ghosts. And that's
residual haunt. That's a residual haunt, is what they call that, when it just keeps playing on a loop over and over and over.
Exactly. And the same when you go to like a battlefield, like what's that one? There was on the big
Gettysburg. Gettysburg is a really big one.
So when you go to the battlefield, you can still smell gunpowder sometimes.
Yeah. Everybody who goes to Gettysburg says that. They said they smell gunpowder, they hear cannon fire. People have seen soldiers popping up all over the place in full regalia costume, and they think it's people, but then they disappear, like they walk into a tree and disappear, or they'd go into the ground and disappear, or, you know,
So that's
incredibly wild.
So that is the same. So that's the same. So that is going to be cleared up too. But the reason also why it was so easy to bring in these like Baal and all these terrible beings and stuff is there was so much darkness embedded in our crystalline grid that it was feeding them even more. So Gaia itself is actually a beautiful entity, a feminine entity. But if you imagine parasitic stuff on the outside,
exactly,
it's like parasites, foundation for them to live off. So that's all going now. So that's another reason why it's going to be so tough for them to be here.
Right. Well, and Gaia is a conscious being, and I keep telling people this over and over. Everybody thinks we're just on this rock. This is not just a rock. The earth we're on has a consciousness, and she has a beautiful, loving consciousness, and she's so compassionate. She's allowed us to hurt her and harm her for all these years, and she's not putting up with it anymore. She's done, and that's why she sent out the SOS. Well, she had been sending it out for a long time, and it wasn't getting out into space because of the grid that the prison that they put around us. When the consciousness of humanity got to a certain point, they were able to get an SOS out of the planet. Finally, that's when the Galactic Federation and all the good guys showed up.
And that was Nagasaki and Hiroshima, because when those bombs went off, it affected so many different timelines dimensionally. That basically that like, right, we've had enough. You know, the children have found the matches and they're playing with the matches now, and it's really effing up, you know, different timelines in different places now. So that's
Right.
when, yeah. But I mean,
That makes sense. That makes sense because that was such a big vile thing to the planet, and that's probably was what she needed, what Mama Gaia needed to get that signal out, was that nuclear bomb. It probably disrupted the grid,
oh yeah, for sure.
matrix around the
It
planet.
was
Yeah.
such a big disruption that she couldn't handle it anymore.
Yeah.
And that's when the Galactic Federation came together. And they said, oh my God, this is going to be interesting, because how do we raise the vibration of Earth without disrupting non-interference laws and free will? Okay, so what we'll do is we'll just send a whole lot of star seeds in with high vibrations, and they'll be doing stuff in the astral. And that is how they avoided non-interference and not breaking free will. So the Galactic Federation have been very, very clever. But also, you know, the Greys were very, very clever as well, because they managed to do the same thing. They managed to weasel their way in without breaking the laws of interference and free will. And it's basically like this, the needle in the arm. I won't say what it is.
Right, exactly.
They're basically making people take this thing. They're pushing them into a place whereby they're being forced of their own free will to want to take it. You know, you can't break free will. Well, the reptilians have been breaking free will here, but then they're suffering some real major consequences now. So, yes, I mean, yes, that was all I wanted to say on that.
Well, you know, the breaking of the free will thing. So a good example, and I talk about this in my book, but Ascension 101, but I also talk about it to my clients all the time, is that a lot of people, the reason they have lives, because I talk about the reason why people, you know, are struggling financially, struggling with their health, struggling in their relationships, all this kind of thing. A lot of it has to do with false light contracts that they were tricked into. That is breaking their free will. So it's one thing if I chose to come in here with my husband and my kids and to have this experience that I'm having. It's another thing if a false light being or a Draco or whatever tricked me
100%.
into doing this like suffering contract where I come in and I have all this illness and I get raped or pillaged or this happens or that happens. I have an accident. You know, in my case, I was molested when I was a kid, and I've had all kinds of things happen, you know, terrible things happen to me. And I've had heart surgery and I've had a lot of struggles and complications. So I can say in my case, I wasn't tricked into that. Some of it is, I chose it for learning. Some of it is attacks. There's a lot of reasons why I have it, but I have a lot of friends and clients who have similar situations to me, and their entire scenario was all a trick of the dark side. You know, their whole contract was all, they were tricked into it.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And so I have a contract breaking kind of ceremony or prayer that I can do with people and give to them. I don't know if you do that with your clients, but you know, we now have our sovereignty back. Our sovereignty has been returned back to us. So we are 100% free will now. So they no longer, the karma has been removed. That was removed in 2012. So there is no more of this samsara wheel where you're put back in and you get another suffering.
Exactly.
You keep going suffering. That's been removed. So the thing is now you have the free will to say, dear God and angels and universe, I break any contracts that I did not agree to, or that I was tricked into, or that are not for my highest good. You know, you can break that. You can have them ripped apart, burned up, and then but then you need to replace it, because when you take something away, you need to transmute it or replace it. So you replace it with, I now create a new contract where my life is full of love, happiness, health, prosperity, peace, for my highest good.
Yeah.
Because you have to replace it with something.
And do you know what is so interesting? You're 100% right about that soul contract thing. And do you know what is so interesting about it is that there are a lot of I'm happy to say this, by the way. I'm happy to say who and what I am, because everyone pretty much knows, because I say it all the time. But I am a second wave indigo Andromedan Arcturian with some Lyran and some Regulus being in there, feline starseed second wave. But I am an old soul starseed Regulus, blah, 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 indigo. So I came here, it's many, many lifetimes ago, and I got stuck here. So it's like just saying that, you know, a lot of souls were getting recycled, and now a lot of souls are breaking their soul contracts and they're able to get out of here. they're saying, and they're becoming aware of this. So they're saying, right, this is my last time I'm going to be here now because I can get out of here. I've done my work and all the rest of it. But you know what's really, really funny is I'm hearing in the angelic realms that a lot of these souls who are putting in all the work now to birth Gaia into the new earth are saying that there's a lot of souls who are like, I don't want to come back here. I hate it. This sucks. I'm never coming back here. And then they're getting to the other side. And then they're like, hey, it's going to be different now. And actually, I put in all of that work and it's just about to start getting good. And instead of going back to Arcturus or whatever, or blah, 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 they're actually coming back to the party. So
wow.
There's a lot of souls basically coming back to this side, coming back into the physical again and saying, hey, actually, I'm not stuck here. I'm not trapped. And actually all this work that I did, all this work that I put doing this is now going to come to fruition, and I want to see it through. And so a lot of souls do. So I would say, a lot of souls say, I'm never coming back here. Just wait.
That was me.
Wait till
that was me.
Yeah.
This is funny that you're saying this, Alexander, because not too long ago, if I look back in time, I was sitting here going, oh my God, this place is hell. I don't ever want to come back here again. I can't stand this. It's so much torment and suffering and all the poverty and all the sickness and all the death and I don't want to come back here again. And that was before I knew about the ascension and I knew where we were heading. Before I knew where we were heading, I didn't want to come back here again. I was like, I can't take this. I don't want to come back here again. And now I'm like the opposite. Now I'm like, if we are going to have the density heavenly earth, that they're going to create this really peaceful planet where everybody lives in peace and harmony together and love, and it's just a really unified, beautiful place, I do want to come back. I want to come back and play. Hey, let's all play. That's where I'm at now. It's,
I would say to a lot of souls, if I could talk to some of the other souls, if I could get a soul from the other side to come onto this Zoom call, the angelics are basically saying there's a lot of souls who didn't want to be here, and then they're getting to the other side and they're like, no, actually, I think I'll go back because the party's just getting started down there, and actually, I want to see this through.
Right. Yeah. Right.
Hard to feel now, but
yeah. So it's the time. My blood sugar is starting to run down, and I'm like looking at the time here. It's 1:04, and I haven't had lunch yet. So we've been talking a long time on the Zoom on the Zoom video, and then the video is going to be like 2 hours probably. I don't know.
No idea how long we've been talking.
It's been fun. It's been fun. We need to do this again. We need to do like more of these, because you and I have so much to share with our audience on YouTube. We have like so much to share, and I feel like we could have like several of these, and it would be really, really good. Really awesome.
If you really look at the subjects we've been talking about, we've only really just we've only just skirted around each one. But yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And I would say to everyone listening, if you have managed to get this far in the interview, subscribe to my channel, subscribe to Kim's channel. We'll put the links on either one. And
Yep.
Kim, what do you do for a living? Do you want to tell them?
Oh yeah. So yeah, I'm just a spiritual teacher and mentor and guide, best-selling author of the book Ascension 101. On my website, spiritualgrowthjourneys.com, I have a list of all the services I provide, but basically I provide guidance and counseling to people for their life, their health, everything, spiritual, guidance, metaphysics training, all that kind of stuff. Whatever you want, basically, that's what I do. And it's on my website. And I do private counseling, but I'm going to be offering classes here coming up really soon. I'm going to be offering a class on basics of all energy healing and all energy medicine. It's going to be a basic workshop coming up soon. And I'm excited about that. But if you want a session, you can connect with me through my website. And Alexander, do you want to share what you do?
Yeah, so I have a book coming out on all kinds of things, but just for time being, check out my YouTube and the videos there, and that's it. I'm done if you're done.
I am totally done. And I really recommend everybody to go sign up for Alexander's YouTube channel. You know, make sure you hit the notification, subscribe so that you get his videos, because his videos are all super uplifting and I love all of them. Go ahead. What were you going to say?
One thing I wanted to say. Anyone still watching this who managed to get this far in the interview, I have started a STARSEED global network. So Google me at Alexander Quinn 000. That's 3 zeros. Alexander Quinn 3 zeros at gmail.com. Number 1 with the country you're in. Number 2 with your full name. And number 3 with the entities or star beings that you resonate with. Because I'm trying to connect all the STARSEEDS and all the light workers together globally and put a global network together. So that's it. I'm done.
Wow. That's awesome. I love that. Yes, please connect with him. And thank you all for joining us today on my channel. We are grateful for all of you. We're grateful for your support and for being here. And we look forward to seeing you again. And again, for my channel, make sure you subscribe, like this video, share it with whoever you feel it resonates with.
Hit the bell icon. Hit the bell icon.
Yeah, hit that bell so you get notifications. And thank you, and have the most blessed, awesome day. Thank you all.
Kimberly, love you. I'll see you soon.
See ya. Bye.